Welcome to the world of science fiction, where extraordinary tales come to life. Enjoy the journey. The alien device sparked, sending a shower of purple electricity across Ryan Dalton's workbench. He jerked back, nearly dropping his plasma wrench, as the smell of ion mist mixed with something distinctly otherworldly, like burnt rubber crossed with cinnamon. "Easy there, beautiful," Ryan muttered, wiping sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand, leaving a fresh grease streak. The device, which looked like someone had tried to mate a toaster with a particle accelerator after a few too many drinks, hummed ominously. "Just need to recalibrate your flux capacitor, or whatever the hell you call this thing." Behind him, Caliph Oron paced the narrow confines of everything fixable, his green skin shifting through various shades of nauseated chartreuse. The alien's three-fingered hands clutched a device that displayed what looked like 17 different time zones from planets Ryan couldn't pronounce. "How much longer?" Oren's voice had the quality of wet sandpaper. "I have appointments." "Yeah, well, your toaster from hell just tried to electrocute me, so maybe dial back the urgency." Ryan squinted at the device's internal mechanisms. "What'd you say this was again?" "I didn't." Oren's skin darkened to forest green. Never a good sign. The shop's door burst open with enough force to rattle the bell into submission. Chris Chef Donovan filled the doorway, all 6'3" of ex-Marine muscle barely contained in a grease-stained apron that read, "Kiss the cook or get court-martialed." "Bro." Chris pointed a spatula accusingly at Oron. "Your alien clientele is scaring away my customers. Again. Mrs. Henderson took one look at Green Jeans here through the window and nearly choked on her bacon burger." Ryan didn't look up from the sparking device. "Chris, we've been over this. Earth joined the Galactic League 5 years ago. Deal with it." "I dealt with it fine when it meant better Wi-Fi and those Andromedan beer imports." Chris stepped closer, nostrils flaring. "But your shop smells like someone set fire to a yoga mat in a candy factory." "That's the interdimensional plasma converter." Ryan finally looked up, grinning. "Or possibly Oron. Hard to tell." Oron's wrist device suddenly erupted in a cacophony of beeps, whistles, and what sounded suspiciously like a mariachi band. His green skin blanched to the color of old pistachio ice cream. "They found me." The words came out as barely a whisper. Ryan set down his tools. "Who found you?" But Oron was already backing toward the door, his three-fingered hands fumbling in his coat. He slapped a metallic disc on the counter. It gleamed with the oily sheen of official galactic documentation. "Your payment," Oren said, his voice pitched high with panic. "All debts settled. They're in the apartment above your shop. Both of them. Legal and binding by galactic law." "Wait, what?" Ryan lunged forward, but the air where Oren had stood shimmered and warped. The telltale ion mist stench of teleportation filled the shop, along with that damned cinnamon smell. Chris waved his spatula through the dissipating teleportation residue. "Did that walking pickle just dump something on you?" Ryan picked up the disc, which felt warm and somehow organic despite its metallic appearance. Alien script scrolled across its surface, rearranging itself into English as he watched. His stomach dropped. "Oh, shit." "What?" Chris peered over his shoulder. "What's it say?" "It says—" Ryan swallowed hard. "Transfer of custodial rights and familial obligations, pursuant to Galactic Code 743.2. He looked up at Chris. "He left me his family." Chris blinked. "Like a goldfish? Please tell me we're talking about a goldfish." "They're in the apartment upstairs." Ryan was already moving, the disc clutched in his hand. "Both of them," he said. "Both goldfish? I don't think they're goldfish, Chris." They thundered up the exterior stairs to the apartment above the shop, Ryan's master key already in hand. He'd been using the space for storage since his last tenant moved out 6 months ago. The door swung open to reveal, "Holy shit," Chris breathed. Two figures stood in the center of the barely furnished room, surrounded by what looked like 3 suitcases and a collection of alien devices that made Ryan's shop look positively mundane. The woman turned first, and Ryan's brain short-circuited. She was purple. Not painted purple. Not wearing purple. Her skin was the color of twilight, with an inner luminescence that made her seem lit from within. Amber eyes, impossibly large and flecked with gold, fixed on him with a mixture of surprise and resignation. Her hair moved like it was underwater, each strand seeming to contain its own fiber-optic light show. And she was beautiful. Not just beautiful. She was stop traffic, forget your own name, accidentally walk into a wall gorgeous. The kind of beautiful that made Ryan acutely aware he was covered in grease and probably smelled like burnt electronics. "You are Ryan Dalton?" Her voice had an accent he couldn't place, musical with consonants that seemed to sparkle. "The mechanic." I, Ryan's brain was still rebooting. "Yeah?" A snort came from the younger figure, a girl who looked about 16 in Earth years with the same purple skin, but hair tinted green and woven through with what appeared to be actual tiny lights. "Smooth, Mom. We've been transferred to a guy who can't even form complete sentences." The woman, Mom apparently, shot her daughter a warning look that transcended species. "Arena, manners." "What manners?" Arena dropped onto a threadbare couch with teenage disgust. "We just got handed off like a Netflix password. Again." Chris, ever helpful, stage whispered to Ryan, "Dude, the green guy left you purple people." "I can see that," Ryan hissed back, then cleared his throat. "Sorry, I'm just processing. Oron said something about payment? Debts? You're his." "We're nothing to him." The woman's jaw tightened, making the lights in her hair flicker. "I am Meloria. This is my daughter, Arena. We had a business arrangement with Oron for residency documentation." "A fake marriage," Arena supplied helpfully. "Mom needed papers to keep us from getting deported back to the war zone formerly known as our planet. Oron needed someone to claim on his taxes. Match made in bureaucratic heaven." Ryan felt like his head was spinning. "And now he's, what, transferred you to me? Like property?" "According to Galactic law, familial obligations can be transferred to settle debts." Meloria's amber eyes hardened. "We have been through this process before, twice." "3 times, Arena corrected. "If you count the Regellian who tried to trade us for a ship." Wait. Ryan held up his hands. "I don't own people. Nobody owns people. This is insane." Chris leaned against the doorframe, clearly enjoying the show. "Actually, galactic contracts are pretty binding. My cousin Eddie got stuck with a sentient plant for 6 months. Thing wouldn't stop singing show tunes. Not helping, Chris. Just saying you might want to check the fine print before." The lights in the apartment suddenly dimmed. No, that wasn't right. The lights were the same, but everything else was getting brighter. Ryan watched in fascination as Meloria's skin began to glow more intensely, her hair lifting as if gravity had taken a coffee break. "Mom," Arena warned, "you're doing the thing." "I am not doing." Meloria cut herself off as the coffee table began to rise off the floor. "Oh, fragments." Ryan took an instinctive step back as his toolbox started floating. "What's happening?" "Lyrian women affect localized gravity when emotional," Arena explained with the tired tone of someone who'd given this speech before. "It's supposedly an evolutionary advantage. Personally, I think it's just embarrassing." "I am fine," Meloria insisted, even as Chris's hat drifted off his head. "Right, fine." Chris grabbed his hat out of the air. "The purple lady who's making my hat fly is totally fine." Ryan watched a potted plant orbit slowly past his head and made a decision. Okay, everyone just calm down. Mal? Meloria? Deep breaths. Let's get gravity back to normal before my insurance company has questions I can't answer. She closed her eyes and gradually, objects began settling back to Earth. The coffee table landed with a thunk. Ryan's toolbox clattered down, spilling wrenches across the floor. I apologize, Meloria said stiffly. It has been a difficult day. Yeah, I bet. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, leaving it standing at odd angles. Look, I don't care what that disc says. You're not property. You're people. Guests. You can stay in the apartment until we figure this out. Arena's green-tinted eyebrows rose. Guests? Not assets or acquisitions or biological collateral? Jesus, is that what people have been calling you? Among other things, Meloria said quietly. Ryan felt something hot and angry rise in his chest. Well, not here. You're guests. The apartment's not much, but it's clean, mostly. There's a grocery store 2 blocks down, and Chris makes decent burgers despite his personality. Hey, Chris protested. We cannot pay rent, Meloria said carefully. Oren controlled all our funds. I didn't ask for rent. Then what do you want? The question came out sharp, defensive. Meloria's glow flickered again, and a picture frame on the wall tilted 45 degrees. Ryan met her amber gaze steadily. I want to figure out how to undo whatever the hell Oron did. I want to make sure you and your daughter are okay, and I really want to know why my shop still smells like cinnamon. For the first time since they'd met, all of 10 minutes ago, Meloria's lips curved in what might have been the beginning of a smile. That would be Arena's hair products. She insists on using Beetlejuice brand. It's the only thing that works with the lights, Arena protested. Chris's stomach chose that moment to rumble audibly. Speaking of products, I've got a restaurant to run. Ryan, you good here with your new house guests? Yeah, I'm good. Cool. Ladies, if you need anything, I'm next door. Best burgers in the sector. Ask anyone except the health inspector. He paused at the door. Oh, and Ryan, you've got that thing at 9 tomorrow. What thing? The thing where you explained to Mrs. Henderson why she saw a green alien in your shop who apparently paid his bill with purple women. Chris ducked out before Ryan could throw a wrench at him. In the sudden quiet, Ryan became aware of how the 3 of them were standing. Him by the door, Meloria near the window, Arena on the couch. Like points of a triangle, each maintaining careful distance. So, he said finally, are you hungry? I mean, do you eat Earth food? We eat. Arena pulled out a device that looked like a smartphone had mated with a disco ball. But if you're thinking pizza, I should warn you that Mom's lactose intolerant, violently. Arena. What? He should know. Remember what happened at that rest stop in Nevada? Meloria's purple cheeks darkened to plum. That was an isolated incident. You created a localized gravitational anomaly in a Denny's, Mom. They had to close for 3 days. Ryan found himself fighting a grin. No pizza then. Chinese. Can we get those little fried dough things? Arena perked up slightly. What do you call them? Donuts. Donuts. And those are dessert, not dinner. Earth has the weirdest rules, she muttered, but she was almost smiling. As Ryan pulled out his phone to order food, he caught Meloria watching him with those impossible amber eyes. When their gazes met, her skin shimmered slightly, like purple starlight. Thank you, she said softly, for not being like the others. Yeah, well, Ryan shrugged, uncomfortable with the gratitude. I fix things. It's what I do. We are not things to be fixed. No, he agreed. But this situation is, and I'm pretty good with complicated machinery. We are not machinery either. I know, he smiled. But you do come with some interesting features. Anti-gravity, lights in the hair, Interdimensional luggage. How did you know the luggage was interdimensional? Lucky guess. That and it's humming in B-flat. This time her smile was real, transforming her face from beautiful to breathtaking. You have a good ear, Ryan Dalton. Comes with the job. His phone buzzed with the restaurant confirmation. Food'll be here in 30. Make yourselves at home. I'm going to go downstairs and try to figure out what exactly Oren's gadget was supposed to do before he teleported away like his ass was on fire. It was a probability calculator, Arena said absently, still focused on her disco phone. For quantum betting, super illegal in 12 systems. Ryan paused at the door. How do you know that? She looked up, green-lit hair framing a grin that was pure teenager. I hack things. It's kind of my talent. That and making Mom float the furniture when she's trying to impress someone. I was not... Meloria's protest was cut short as every piece of furniture in the room rose 6 inches off the floor. Ryan left them to their argument, closing the door on what was officially the strangest day of his life. And considering he'd once helped a Centaurian fix a temporal blender that kept sending smoothies 3 minutes into the past, that was saying something. Back in his shop, the alien device sat innocently on his workbench, no longer sparking. Ryan picked up his tools, then set them down again. Through the ceiling he could hear footsteps, Meloria's heavier tread, Arena's lighter one, his apartment, his guests, his problem now. What the hell have you gotten me into, Oran? He muttered. The device, naturally, didn't answer, but somewhere in the back of his mind, Ryan had the feeling his life had just become a lot more complicated, and possibly more interesting, definitely more purple. The pounding on Ryan's shop door at 7 a.m. could have woken the dead, or at least the deeply hungover, which was Ryan's current state after staying up until 3 a.m. trying to figure out galactic contract law on the internet. Open this establishment immediately. The voice had the quality of someone who'd swallowed a bureaucracy manual and was slowly digesting it. This is official Galactic League business. Ryan stumbled to the door, still in yesterday's grease-stained jeans and a t-shirt that proclaimed, "I'm not a rocket scientist, but I play one at work." He yanked it open to find himself face to face with a being who had one face too many. The alien stood about 5'8", with skin that looked like someone had pressed old ledger paper over a humanoid form. Lines of faded text scrolled across his visible surfaces, regulations, subsections, amendments. But it was the 3 eyes that made Ryan step back. 2 normal-ish ones flanked a central orb that glowed with the soft green light of a calculator display. Ryan Dalton? The alien consulted a tablet that materialized from thin air. I am Senator Verg Orvin, Intergalactic Commissioner of Family Debts, Marital Transfers, and Domestic Obligations. It's 7 in the morning, Ryan managed. 7:03, Orvin corrected. His middle eye pulsed slightly. You're lying. You know exactly what time it is. Interesting. How is that a lie? I said, approximation is a form of deception. Orvin pushed past him into the shop. Where are the transferred parties? The what now? The Lyrian female and her offspring. The debt payments. Orvin's scanner materialized, sweeping the shop with blue light. Ah, upstairs. Their biosignatures are quite distinct. Ryan's brain was still booting up, but his protective instincts kicked in faster than his coffee maker. Hold up! You can't just barge in here and... Article 5, 7.2.7.2. Orvin's middle eye swiveled to focus on him while the other 2 continued scanning. Weekly welfare checks are mandatory for all transferred familial obligations. Subsection C clearly states, English, before coffee, please. Orvin sighed, a sound like paper rustling in a particularly judgmental way. The Lyrian woman and child who were transferred to you. I must verify their living conditions, confirm the validity of the arrangement, and ensure all galactic regulations are being followed. They're not things to be verified. They're people. People subject to galactic law. The scanner beeped. Interesting. High stress levels detected upstairs. Gravitational anomalies. Has the Lyrian female been experiencing emotional dysregulation? Before Ryan could answer or figure out what the hell emotional dysregulation meant, a crash echoed from the apartment above, followed by what sounded like creative cursing in an alien language. That would be a yes, Ryan muttered, heading for the stairs. Orvin followed, his footsteps eerily silent for someone made of sentient paperwork. They found Meloria in the kitchen, surrounded by the floating remains of what had been Ryan's toaster. Pieces orbited her head like disappointed satellites while she stood frozen, hands still extended toward where the appliance had been. "I just wanted toast," she said miserably. "How do Earth devices break so easily?" Mal. Ryan carefully navigated the gravity field, noting how his steps got lighter the closer he got to her. Deep breaths. Let's bring the toaster down before... Meloria. Orvin's voice cut through the moment like a paper cut. "I should have known." The toaster pieces crashed to the counter. Meloria spun, her amber eyes widening, then narrowing to golden slits. "Verg. You know each other?" Ryan looked between them, noting how Meloria's skin had darkened from twilight purple to something closer to midnight. "Senator Orvin was my legal advocate during my first residency application." Meloria's words could have frosted glass. Before he decided career advancement was more important than his promises. Orvin's middle eye dimmed. "I followed proper protocol." "You followed ambition." Arena chose that moment to emerge from her room, hair sticking up in gravity-defying green spikes, wearing an oversized t-shirt that read, "My other ride is a spaceship." She took in the scene, floating toaster debris, her mother's defensive stance, the three-eyed bureaucrat, and Ryan looking like he needed about 6 more coffees. "Oh good," she said flatly. "The fun police are here. Miss Arena." Orvin consulted his tablet. Age 13 Lyrian years, approximately 16 Earth years. Currently unregistered in any educational institution. This is a violation of... "I start school Monday," Arena interrupted. "Ryan already set it up. Jefferson High. Go Wildcats or whatever." Orvin's scanner swept over her. "Genetic anomalies detected. Hybrid traits. Your father was... gone." The word shot out like a bullet. "That's all that matters." An awkward silence filled the kitchen, broken only by the gentle plink of toaster parts finally settling. "Right." Ryan clapped his hands together. "How about coffee? Bureaucracy always goes better with caffeine." "I don't consume Earth beverages," Orvin said primly. "Your loss." Ryan started the coffee maker, grateful for something to do with his hands. "So what exactly do you need to verify? That they have beds, food, that I'm not keeping them in cages?" "The arrangement must be genuine." Orvin's scanner never stopped moving. "Cohabitation, shared responsibilities, emotional investment. The contract clearly states..." "What contract?" Ryan spun around. "I never signed anything. Oron dumped that disc and vanished." "Acceptance of payment constitutes agreement." Orvin's middle eye brightened, focusing on Ryan with uncomfortable intensity. "You allowed them to stay. You provided shelter. You filed the school registration. All actions consistent with accepting the transferred obligation." "I was being a decent human being. Admirable. Also legally binding." Meloria moved closer to Ryan, close enough that he caught her scent. Ion mist and something floral, like roses struck by lightning. "What happens if he refuses?" "You and your daughter will be deported to Lyrian immediately." "Lyrian is a war zone," Ryan protested. "That's not my concern." Orvin made a note on his tablet. "However, Mr. Dalton would also face penalties. Breach of galactic contract carries a minimum sentence of 5 years labor on the asteroid mines of Kepler 442b. The asteroid, are you insane? I am thorough. Orvan's eyes, all three, surveyed the apartment. This living space is inadequate for a family unit. The Lyrian female requires a private meditation space. The adolescent needs proper study facilities. And where are the recreational areas? It's a two-bedroom apartment, not a compound. Substandard, another note. I'll return in 72 hours for a proper inspection. I expect to see evidence of genuine cohabitation, shared meals, interpersonal bonding, perhaps some indication that this isn't merely a charitable arrangement. What's that supposed to mean? Ryan demanded. Orvan's middle eye swiveled between Ryan and Meloria. My sensors detect no romantic attachment, no pheromonal bonding, no synchronized biorhythms. This appears to be a platonic arrangement which violates subsection. We just met yesterday. Irrelevant. The contract specifies a familial unit, not roommates. Orvan headed for the door, pausing at the threshold. 72 hours, Mr. Dalton. I suggest you use them wisely. The door clicked shut with finality. Well, Arena said into the silence, he seems fun, in a soul-sucking bureaucrat from hell kind of way. Language, Meloria said automatically, then sank into a kitchen chair. This is worse than I thought. Ryan poured coffee with hands that weren't quite steady. Okay, someone explain. Now, what's his deal? Why does he care so much about this arrangement? Meloria accepted the mug, wrapping purple fingers around it like a lifeline. Verg and I, we knew each other. Before. Mom was his secretary, Arena supplied helpfully, back when she was trying to get refugee status the legal way. I was his legal assistant, Meloria corrected. He was brilliant, passionate about refugee rights. He helped hundreds of families find sanctuary. Her voice softened. I thought he was different. Let me guess, Ryan said. He was offered a promotion, senior commissioner, but it required absolute adherence to regulations, no personal relationships that might compromise his judgment. She took a sip of coffee, grimaced. Is this supposed to taste like burnt rubber? That's how you know it's working. Ryan sat across from her. So he chose the job. He chose the rules. Meloria's hair dimmed to almost black. And now he enforces them with the passion he once used to break them. Classic overcompensation, Arena observed. He's probably still hung up on you, Mom. Did you see how his middle eye went all dim when you gave him the death glare? That's not helping, Rhea. Just saying, we could use it. Make him jealous. Ryan could pretend to be totally into you and… Arena! What? It's a solid plan. Ryan's already got the whole scruffy mechanic with a heart of gold thing going. You're gorgeous even when you're destroying kitchen appliances. One fake romance coming up. Ryan choked on his coffee. I don't think… You don't have to think, Arena interrupted. Just look smitten. Maybe hold hands. Gaze longingly. You know, romance stuff. Do you actually know any romance stuff? Ryan asked. I've seen movies. Earth ones even. Though your mating rituals are weird. Why does everyone keep running through airports? Okay, time out. Ryan held up his hands. Nobody's faking anything. We'll figure this out without… The coffee mug in Meloria's hands shattered, not exploded, not cracked. The ceramic simply gave up cohesion, transforming into powder that drifted upward in lazy spirals. Coffee splashed across the table, defying gravity to form perfect spheres that floated like brown pearls. Mom! Arena scrambled back as her chair began to rise. I'm sorry. Meloria pressed her palms flat on the table, but it only made things worse. The wood groaned and began to bend, forming a shallow bowl with her hands at the center. Ryan didn't think. He reached out, covering her hands with his. Hey, look at me. She did, amber eyes wide with panic and embarrassment. It's just a mug, he said softly. And honestly, that table was ugly anyway. I've been meaning to replace it. I'm destroying your home. You're having a rough morning. There's a difference." He kept his hand steady on hers, noting how her skin felt electric, like touching a plasma globe. "Tell me about flying. You said you were a pilot?" The subject change caught her off guard. Yes, atmospheric and orbital. I flew rescue missions during the evacuation." "What kind of ship?" "A Kestrel-class interceptor. She was fast, nimble, could dance between laser fire like—" She trailed off, lost in memory. "Like?" Ryan prompted gently. "Like starlight through water." A sad smile touched her lips. "I named her Hope's Dawn. Silly, I know." "Not silly at all." Ryan became aware that the furniture had settled back to the floor. The coffee spheres still floated, but calmly now, like a desktop water feature designed by aliens. "I name all my tools. This wrench? That's Bethany. The plasma cutter is Dr. Destructo." "Dr. Destructo?" Despite everything, Meloria laughed. The sound transformed her face, light dancing under her purple skin like captured sunshine. "That's terrible." "Right?" Ryan grinned. "But you can't argue with results. Dr. Destructo has never let me down." "Unlike actual doctors," Arena muttered, but she was smiling too. They stayed like that for a moment, hands touching across the warped table, coffee drops orbiting lazily overhead, morning sun streaming through the window to paint purple and gold patterns on the wall. Then Chris burst through the door without knocking, because of course he did. "Yo, Ryan! Did you see the three-eyed freak?" "Oh." He took in the scene. "Am I interrupting something? Because this looks like something." Ryan jerked his hands back. Meloria's skin darkened to plum. The coffee drops splashed down like caffeinated rain. "Nothing," they said in unison, which convinced exactly nobody. "Right." Chris helped himself to coffee, pointedly ignoring the floating furniture situation. "So the bureaucrat alien, he giving you grief?" "He wants proof we're a real family," Arena supplied. "In 72 hours, or Mom and I get shipped back to a planet that's basically one big crater and Ryan goes to space jail." "Space jail sucks," Chris said sagely. "My cousin did 3 months for illegally importing Arcturian massage oil. Came back speaking in equations." "That's not helpful, Chris." "I'm just saying, maybe you should play along. Act family-ish. How hard can it be?" As if in response to his question, the kitchen sink decided to achieve orbit, pulling free from the counter with a screech of protesting metal. "I'll get my tools," Ryan sighed. The next 71 hours passed in a blur of domestic disasters and desperate preparations. Meloria's gravity surges seemed tied to her emotional state, which meant every frustration, embarrassment, or moment of happiness came with its own gravitational consequence. They lost 3 toasters, a blender, and Ryan's favorite coffee mug to the phenomenon he'd started calling purple power surges. "It's not purple power," Meloria protested, floating 6 inches off the ground after a particularly intense surge triggered by a spider. "It's a complex manipulation of localized gravitational fields through emotional quantum entanglement." "So, purple power," Ryan said, offering her a hand to pull herself back down. She took it, and the contact sent the usual electric tingle up his arm. They'd been touching more often, little steadying gestures, hands brushing as they cleaned up the latest gravitational casualty. Each time felt like completing a circuit, energy flowing between them in ways that had nothing to do with alien physiology. "You're impossible," she said, but she was smiling. "Look who's talking. You literally made a black hole in my bathroom yesterday." "That was a small gravitational anomaly. It ate my rubber ducky." Arena, meanwhile, had started school with all the enthusiasm of someone approaching a root canal. Ryan drove her the first day, enduring a lecture on Earth's primitive education system the entire way. "You still segregate students by arbitrary age groups," she complained. "On Lyrian, we group by interest and aptitude. I was in advanced quantum mechanics with beings 3 times my age. Yeah, well, here you get to dissect frogs and pretend to care about the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem is fundamental to understanding spatial relationships in multiple dimensions. It's also on the standardized test, so pretend to learn it again. She slumped in the passenger seat. This planet is backwards. Hey, Ryan pulled up to the school. I know this sucks. All of it. Being stuck here, starting over again, having some three-eyed bureaucrat threatening to tear apart what little stability you've found. But you're tough. Tougher than any teenager I've met, Earth or otherwise. Arena was quiet for a moment. My dad used to say that I was tough, right before he left for his last mission. Rhea, it's fine. She grabbed her backpack, modified with her tech to be bigger on the inside. I'll see you at 3. Try not to let Mom gravitize the whole shop while I'm gone. But by the end of the day, Arena had made exactly one friend. Lila Rodriguez, a whirlwind of energy and social media savvy who'd taken one look at the new girl with the cool hair and declared them besties. She's documenting everything, Arena reported over dinner. Apparently, I'm aesthetic goals and my hair is giving main character energy, whatever that means. Sounds like she likes you, Ryan offered. She thinks I'm using some kind of next-level hair dye. I didn't correct her. Arena poked at her spaghetti. Is it wrong that I kind of like having someone who doesn't know I'm an alien refugee with a probably dead dad and a mom who breaks physics when she's upset? No, Meloria said softly. It's not wrong to want normal. Even if normal is a lie. Sometimes lies let us breathe, Ryan said. Just don't let it become who you are. Arena looked at him with those 2 wise eyes. Speaking from experience? My fiancée left me at the altar, Ryan admitted. Left a note saying she couldn't marry someone who fixes everyone but himself. I told myself I was fine. Lied to everyone, including myself. Took 2 years to admit she might have had a point. Did you ever fix yourself? Meloria asked. Ryan met her gaze across the table. Working on it. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Recognition of shared damage and the careful hope of healing. Then the spaghetti pot achieved liftoff, and the moment dissolved into the usual chaos. By the 3rd day, they developed routines. Meloria helped in the shop, her steady hands and surprising technical knowledge making her an asset despite the occasional floating tool. Ryan taught her to drive in the evenings, using the empty parking lot behind Chris's restaurant. The key is smooth movements, he instructed, trying not to notice how the setting sun turned her purple skin to burnished gold. No sudden stops or starts. Unlike my gravitational control, she said wryly, hands gripping the steering wheel. You're getting better. We only lost 1 lawn ornament today. Mrs. Henderson's flamingo will be missed. Mrs. Henderson has 12 more. Trust me, you did the neighborhood a favor. She laughed, relaxing incrementally. The truck rolled forward smoothly. This is nice. The freedom. On Lyrian, only military personnel could operate vehicles. Well, here you can drive wherever you want. See the world. Take Rhea on college tours in a few years. You think we'll still be here in a few years? The question hung between them. Ryan knew what she was really asking. Will you get tired of us? Will you leave like everyone else? I fix things for the long haul, he said finally. No quick patches in my shop. She parked the truck with only minimal gravitational assistance. We're not machines, Ryan. No, he agreed. You're much more complicated and way more interesting. In the dim light of the cab, her amber eyes searched his face. Most people run when things get complicated. Good thing I'm not most people. No, she said softly. You're not. The space between them seemed to shrink, charged with the same electricity he felt every time they touched. Meloria leaned slightly forward, and Ryan found himself matching the movement, drawn by forces that had nothing to do with gravity manipulation. Then her phone buzzed. Irina, texting that she'd finished her homework and could they pick up pizza on the way home. The moment shattered like one of the many dishes they'd lost to gravitational surges. We should... Yeah, definitely. They spoke over each other, awkward as teenagers. Meloria's skin flushed deeper purple. Ryan started the truck with more attention than the action required. But as they drove toward the pizza place, Meloria's hand found his on the gear shift. A small touch. A promise of possibility. Neither of them mentioned it, but Ryan felt the warmth of her fingers like a brand, a tether to something he wasn't quite ready to name. The inspection was tomorrow. Orvin would return with his scanners and regulations, looking for proof of something that couldn't be measured in forms and subsections. A real family, real connection. Ryan glanced at Meloria, then in the rearview mirror where Irina was visible through the shop window, building something that definitely violated several Earth laws of physics. Real? He wasn't sure what that meant anymore. But whatever this was, complicated, messy, occasionally defying gravity, it was theirs. And he'd be damned if he'd let some three-eyed bureaucrat take it away. The inspection morning arrived with all the subtlety of a gravitational surge. Ryan woke to find his alarm clock orbiting his head and Meloria standing in his doorway, purple skin flushed dark with embarrassment. "Sorry," she whispered. "Anxiety makes it worse. It's fine." He caught the clock mid-orbit. "Though this explains why I dreamed I was on a space station." She managed a weak smile. "Orvin will be here in an hour." "Then we better make sure Rhea's up and..." "She's gone." The words hit like ice water. Ryan shot out of bed, suddenly very aware he was only wearing boxers. Meloria's eyes flickered downward before snapping back to his face, her skin darkening further. "What do you mean gone?" "Her window's open. She left this." Meloria held out a piece of paper with shaking hands. Ryan took it, reading Irina's sharp handwriting. "I'm not cargo to be passed around. You're all better off without the complications I bring. Don't look for me. I know how to disappear. Dad taught me that much before he vanished. Tell Ryan thanks for trying. Tell Mom I love her. Tell Orvin he wins." No. Ryan crumpled the note. "No, she doesn't get to do this. Not now." He grabbed yesterday's jeans, hopping on one foot while Meloria turned politely away. "How long has she been gone?" "Her bed hasn't been slept in. So, hours maybe?" "Damn it!" Ryan yanked on his shirt. "She disabled the camera I put on her window, didn't she?" "You put a camera on my daughter's window?" "For exactly this reason. I know a runner when I see one." He grabbed his phone, already dialing. "Chris? Yeah, I know it's early. Rhea's gone. No, not kidnapped. She ran. Because she's 13 and thinks sacrifice is noble instead of stupid." Meloria sank onto his bed, and suddenly every piece of furniture in the room rose 6 inches. "This is my fault. I should have seen it coming. Should have..." "Hey." Ryan sat beside her, ignoring the floating nightstand. "We'll find her. She's smart, but she's also hurting. Hurt people make mistakes." "How do you know?" "Because I've been there." He squeezed her hand. "After Kelly left me at the altar, I disappeared for 3 weeks. Drove to Mexico, thinking everyone would be better off without the guy who couldn't even keep his fiancée interested." "What brought you back?" "Chris. He tracked me down, dragged me out of a sketchy motel, and told me that running from pain just means you're alone when it catches up." Ryan stood, pulling Meloria with him. "We're not letting Rhea be alone." They rushed downstairs to find Chris already in the shop, along with... "Orvin?" Ryan stared at the three-eyed bureaucrat. "It's not time for the inspection yet." "The inspection is postponed." Orvin's middle eye was dim, the other two showing something that looked almost like concern. I detected the young one's biosignature leaving the area at approximately 3:47 a.m. I've been tracking her. You've been why? Orvin adjusted his tie, ledger skin flushing. Because I have some experience with running, and with the particular desperation that drives it. I don't have time for your life story, Meloria snapped. Where is my daughter? The abandoned Griffith Observatory, the one where Mr. Dalton first repaired Oron's equipment. His scanner materialized. She's been modifying the old communication array. I believe she's trying to contact her father's last known coordinates. Meloria's gravity field pulsed, sending tools spinning. She still thinks he might be alive. We need to go, Ryan said. Now. I'm coming with, Chris declared. I'm not losing my best customer. Plus, someone needs to keep you idiots from doing something stupid. Your concern is touching, Orvin said dryly. Can it, Three Eyes? You got a car, or do we all pile into Ryan's truck? 20 minutes later, they were speeding toward the observatory in Orvin's official vehicle, a sleek thing that handled like a dream and occasionally phased through traffic. Is this street legal? Ryan asked, gripping the door handle as they passed through a semi-truck. I have diplomatic immunity. Orvin navigated with disturbing efficiency. Also, human traffic laws are more like suggestions when you can manipulate molecular density. Great. My daughter's runaway attempt is being enabled by casual law-breaking. Meloria sat rigid in the back, her field making everyone's hair stand on end. Your daughter, Orvin said carefully, is attempting to find closure, something I understand intimately. Here we go, Chris muttered. I was 8 Earth years when my planet fell to civil war, Orvin continued, ignoring him. My parents put me on a refugee ship, promised they'd follow on the next transport. I waited at the spaceport for 73 days, scanning every arrival, creating increasingly complex algorithms to track ships, predict arrival times, calculate the probability of their survival. The car fell silent except for the hum of the engine. On day 74, Orvin said quietly, I received an automated message. Their ship had been destroyed attempting to leave the system. I was alone, and I decided that if I couldn't control who lived or died, I could at least control everything else. Every rule, every regulation, every subsection became a wall between me and chaos. That's why you're such a hard-ass about the contracts, Ryan said. Rules don't leave. Rules don't die. Rules don't promise to follow, and then Orvin cut himself off. We're here. The observatory loomed against the dawn sky, its dome cracked and weathered. Ryan could see lights flickering in the main building. Arena's handiwork, no doubt. They found her in the central room, surrounded by cobbled-together equipment that looked like Radio Shack had mated with alien tech. She sat hunched over a console, green-tinted hair hiding her face as she typed commands with desperate efficiency. Come on, she muttered. Come on, answer, please, just once. Rhea, Meloria said softly. Arena spun, eyes red-rimmed and defiant. I disabled the tracker on Ryan's truck. How did you— We're adults with resources, Ryan said. Also, Orvin is apparently part bloodhound. I prefer efficiently observant, Orvin corrected. Go away. Arena turned back to her console. All of you. The inspection's in an hour. You need to be there. Show him you're better off without— A burst of static cut her off. Then, with crystal clarity, an automated voice filled the room. Scout Ship 7394 destroyed in action. No survivors. Message repeats for next of kin. Scout Ship 7394 destroyed in action. No survivors. Message repeats. Arena's hand hovered over the disconnect button, trembling. No, she whispered. No, that's wrong. He's smart. He's careful. He promised— The message repeated, relentless in its mechanical sympathy. He promised he'd come back, Arena's voice cracked. He said one more mission. One more, and we'd be safe. We'd be together. He promised. Her legs gave out. Ryan caught her before she hit the ground, and suddenly she was sobbing, great, gulping sobs that shook her entire frame. I knew, she gasped against his shoulder. I always knew he was gone. But hoping hurt less than knowing. Hoping meant maybe he just forgot us. Maybe he found something better. But dead means he tried to come back and couldn't, and I've been hating him for nothing. Meloria dropped beside them, wrapping her arms around both. Her own tears floated upward, defying gravity like purple rain in reverse. We may not be the family you dreamed of, she said fiercely, but we're the family you have, and we're not going anywhere. Everyone goes, Arena choked out. Everyone leaves or dies or trades you away. Not us, Ryan said firmly. Not this family. We're not even a real family. We're just people Oren dumped because he couldn't pay his bill. Hey. Ryan pulled back enough to meet her eyes. You know what? You're right. We're not a traditional family. Your mom accidentally creates black holes when she's stressed. You hack alien tech and build communication arrays that violate FCC regulations. I name my tools and talk to broken appliances. We're weird and messy, and half the time we're literally defying the laws of physics. Your point? Arena sniffled. My point is that real families are messy. They're complicated. They're people who choose to stick together even when things get hard, especially when things get hard. He glanced at Meloria, then back at Arena. I fixed your mom's interdimensional tea maker. Do you have any idea how complicated that was? I'm pretty invested now. Despite everything, Arena let out a watery laugh. It did take you 3 hours. 3 hours and 2 electrical burns. I earned my family the hard way. Promise? The word came out small, vulnerable. Promise you won't leave? I promise, Ryan said. Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a plasma wrench in my eye. That's a terrible oath. I'm terrible at oaths. Ask Chris. It's true, Chris called from the doorway where he'd been standing guard. His wedding vows were just tool puns. Which is why Kelly left me at the altar, Ryan added. But hey, her loss. She never got to see my really good material. Arena buried her face in his shoulder again, but this time he felt her smile. They stayed like that for a long moment, a purple woman defying gravity with her tears, a teenage girl learning to let herself be held, and a mechanic who'd somehow found himself in the middle of an alien family drama and discovered he belonged there. Finally, Orvin cleared his throat. While this is touching, we do have a legal matter to attend to. Screw the inspection, Ryan said. No. Orvin's middle eye brightened with determination. Not the inspection. Something far more important. He turned to Meloria. How familiar are you with the Galactic Refugee Protection Act of 2387? Moderately? Meloria wiped her floating tears. Why? Because I've been an idiot. Orvin pulled out his tablet, fingers flying across the surface. I've spent so much time enforcing the letter of the law that I forgot its spirit. The debt transfer. It's invalid. What? All 4 of them said in unison. Oron listed you as property in the transfer, but you're registered refugees. Refugees cannot be owned, transferred, or traded under any circumstances. It's fundamental law, superseding all contract provisions. His 3 eyes gleamed. I can file an emergency petition with the Galactic Court. Today. Now. You do that? Meloria asked. After everything? After you chose your daughter over comfort, after you risked everything for safety, after you've built something real with someone who sees you as people, not obligations. Orvin's ledger skin shifted, showing what might have been a smile. Yes, I'd do that. I should have done it 15 years ago. 15 years. Meloria's eyes widened. Verg. Ancient history, he said briskly. We have court in 2 hours. Mr. Dalton, I trust you have something appropriate to wear? I have a shirt without oil stains, Ryan offered. That'll have to do. The Galactic Court operated out of what used to be a Bank of America building because even alien legal systems appreciated good vault security. Ryan stood before a panel of judges that looked like the cantina scene from Star Wars had gone to law school. Tentacles, multiple eyes, and one that might have been sentient gas in a suit. "State your case," the central judge intoned through a translation device. Ryan looked at Meloria and Arena, sitting in the gallery with Chris. Orvin stood at the prosecution table, having recused himself as their inspector to serve as their advocate. "Your Honors," Ryan began, then stopped. He'd prepared a speech, practiced it in the car. But looking at his purple girls, and yeah, somewhere in the last week they'd become his, all the prepared words evaporated. "I wasn't given a family as payment," he said instead. "That's what the contract says, but contracts lie. 3 days ago, a scared woman and her daughter showed up at my shop. They'd been traded, abandoned, and treated like cargo by people who should have protected them." He thought of Arena sobbing in his arms, of Meloria's tears defying gravity, of breakfast chaos and floating furniture, and the way they both smiled when something actually went right. "Your laws say they're property. Your laws say I own them because some con artist couldn't pay for a repair job. But Your Honors, if your laws say that, your laws are wrong." Murmurs rippled through the court. The gas judge flickered orange, apparently not a good sign. "They're not here because of any debt," Ryan continued. "They're here because this is their home, because family isn't a contract or a clause or subsection 7, B. whatever. Family is choice. It's staying when things get hard. It's catching someone when they fall, even if they're literally defying gravity at the time." Someone in the gallery snorted. Definitely Chris. "Meloria and Arena aren't my property. They're my family. I choose them. Every floating toaster, every gravitational surge, every sarcastic teenage comment and terrified midnight nightmare. I choose them. And if your laws don't recognize that, well, then your laws need better mechanics." Silence fell over the courtroom. The central judge conferred with the others in languages Ryan couldn't identify. Orvin stood perfectly still, all 3 eyes focused on the bench. Meloria reached for Arena's hand, and even from across the room, Ryan could see the slight shimmer of anxiety in her purple skin. Finally, the judge spoke. "The court has reached a decision." Ryan held his breath. "The debt transfer is declared null and void. Oron of Kepler 442b will face fraud charges for misrepresenting sentient beings as transferable assets. Furthermore, Meloria and Arena of Lyrian are granted full refugee status under the Protection Act of 2387 with immediate Earth residency privileges." The courtroom erupted. Chris whooped. Orvin's middle eye blazed with what might have been pride. And Meloria? Meloria launched herself across the courtroom, gravity be damned. She hit Ryan with enough force to stagger him, her arms wrapping around his neck as momentum carried them in a slow spin that defied several laws of physics. "Thank you," she whispered against his ear. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." "Hey," he said softly. "Family, remember? This is what we do." She pulled back just enough to meet his eyes, amber boring into brown. "Is that what we are? Family?" "Among other things," Ryan admitted. And then she kissed him. The courtroom erupted in a mix of cheers and alien sounds of approval. Somewhere Chris Wolf whistled. The gas judge turned pink, which was apparently how it showed embarrassment. But Ryan didn't care about any of that. Meloria's lips were soft and tasted like starlight, her gravitational field wrapping around them both until his feet left the ground. They floated there, spinning slowly in their own private orbit while purple light danced under her skin like captured aurora. "Mom, gross!" Arena's voice cut through the moment. "Get a room, or at least stop defying physics in public." They broke apart, laughing. Ryan's feet touched ground again, though he still felt weightless. "She's got a point," he said. "My daughter, the mood killer. But Meloria was smiling, radiant with joy and relief. "Your daughter who just got you floating in a courtroom," Arena said, approaching with teenage disgust written across her features. "Do you know how many TikToks this is going to end up in? Lila's probably already posting." "Let her post," Ryan said, pulling Arena into a one-armed hug. "Not every day you see a guy literally swept off his feet." "You're ridiculous." But she leaned into him, just a little. "Both of you." "Ridiculously free," Meloria corrected. "No more contracts, no more transfers, just us." "Just us," Ryan agreed. 6 months later, Ryan stood in his shop, now sporting a sign that read, "Everything fixable, Earth and beyond," in English, and what Arena assured him was proper Lyrian script. Business was booming, word having spread through the alien community about the human mechanic who could fix anything and had literally floated in court for love. "Dad!" Arena's voice carried from upstairs. "Mom's doing the thing again." "What thing?" he called back, not looking up from the Centaurian food processor he was rebuilding. "The gravity thing. She's stress baking and the muffins are orbiting the kitchen. Let them orbit. They cook more evenly that way." Footsteps on the stairs, and then Meloria appeared, flower in her purple hair and a sheepish expression on her face. "The new client makes me nervous." "The Andromedan? Why?" "3 eyes. Reminds me of... Orvin is literally coming for dinner on Sunday. You can't be nervous about every 3-eyed being in the galaxy." "I can be nervous about clients who might be connected to Orin." Ryan set down his tools, pulling her close. She melted into him, her anxiety-driven field making his hair stand on end. "Orin's gone," he reminded her. "Fraud charges in 12 systems. He's not coming back." "I know, it's just... Hard to believe we're safe?" She nodded against his chest. "Hey," he tilted her chin up. "We've got the universe's most pedantic bureaucrat on our side, a teenager who could hack the Pentagon if she was bored enough, and a shop full of very loyal customers who'd notice if anyone tried to mess with us. Plus, I've gotten pretty good at the whole protective boyfriend thing." "Boyfriend?" She arched an eyebrow. "That's very high school." "What would you prefer? Significant other? Partner? Gravitationally bound companion?" "How about husband?" Ryan's brain short-circuited. What?" "Arena and I were researching Earth customs. Apparently, when humans want to make family bonds official, they have ceremonies, marriages." Her skin darkened to that beautiful deep purple that meant she was embarrassed but pushing through. "I thought perhaps... Are you proposing to me?" "I might be. Is that something you'd want?" Ryan thought about the last 6 months, about morning coffee and floating breakfast, about teaching Arena to drive while Meloria white-knuckled in the back seat, generating small gravitational eddies with every turn, about quiet evenings when they all sprawled in the living room working on their individual projects but together, about the way Meloria looked in the morning sun, the way Arena had started calling him Dad without flinching, the way his empty fix-it shop had become a home. "Yeah," he said softly, "that's something I'd want." Her smile could have powered cities. The gravitational surge that followed definitely shorted out several appliances. "Mom! Dad!" Arena's voice from upstairs held a note of panic. "The muffins achieved escape velocity. They're in the neighbor's yard." "That's our cue," Meloria laughed. "I'll get the ladder." Ryan sighed. "You get the gravity under control." "Deal. But first," she kissed him quick and sweet. "I love you, Ryan Dalton." "Love you too, Mal, even if you do weaponize baked goods." He headed for the ladder, pausing at the door to look back. Meloria was already floating slightly, purple skin glowing as she headed upstairs to deal with their daughter and the rogue muffins, his family, his beautiful, chaotic, gravity-defying family. The debt had been paid in full, but what he'd gained, priceless, absolutely priceless.